Okay, so you know the dope sheet, it was super dope, but we're gonna leave it behind here as we go on to see the graph editor, which I find actually a superior way to tweak animation once you block things out. So Windows, animation editors, graph editor. It's a little bit more complex. It deals with the curves, but it'll show you something here. We have these curves that are actually not linear. They're not point to point, they're exponential, they slowly fade in. That's actually an animation principle. It's on by default in Maya. We can change it. I'm not going to change it just yet because it will add to the realism of our animation. Let's select this plane. We're going to have to move the tree. We're just going to have to move the tree. I'm sorry, tree. You were good, but not good enough. I'm going to slide it over and out of the way. I'm going to definitely change the terrain. I highly recommend you don't change things as you're going. I know what to do to fix problems, but if you just follow the steps in order, you won't have as many problems as I've had here today. Although it is good to show you that problems happen and they can be solved. Anything can be solved in 3D, especially with Maya. It's a very powerful package. Cool. So now I'm going to animate the rest of the plane. So what I want to happen is I want it to slowly, these turn, nothing happens on the plane, and then these take off slowly. So I'll hit S to key all here, still have auto keyframe on. And then right about here, I want it to slowly start moving up. I want it to slowly start curving, just a little bit like that. So, and I like to go backwards and watch. And I want it to wobble just a little bit, like you know, have you ever seen one of these things take off? They wobble just a little bit, all right? It's not perfect. And then I'll have it slowly start to rise. Like that. So what we've got is that little bit of wobble, maybe even more wobble. Like, you know, we hit some turbulence, because space turbulence. And there it starts to even out. These turn. I still want some wobble going on, maybe in multiple directions, like that. And all this extra animation is going to add to the realism just a bit. You know, it's not a robot. It's piloted by Spaceman Spiff. I've told you this. And now as these shoot off, and ideally, and maybe we'll get to this, well, Particle Sim would kick off particles here, and then this is going to start at first moving slowly, and then it's going to shoot off like really crazy quick, like right out of the scene. Boom, I don't even know where it went. Crazy talk. So let's play it back, see what we've got. Press play. Okay, you know, it needs some tweaking, doesn't it, right? And that's why we enter the graph editor here. So I can zoom out and look at the timeline, and I can also select individual values, which is cool, and move them around, much as we did with the dope sheet editor. You can navigate around here with Alt key. I can drag this over, and then we can look at some different things. Like we know we did a lot with rotate, so I'll select all three of those. Now it doesn't look like anything got done, but our keys are way over here. And you can see that there are actually some curves here. They're not great, but if I want to change them or mod them, it's pretty easy to do it in here. I can select all of these and I can middle click them around, or what I can do is there's this tool here, right here, selection tool, and I can actually expand them so it slows it down or speeds it up, or I can expand it up this way to kind of change the amount of shaking that's going on, right? Because I know I've got my rotate going. So now let's watch it, and we'll press play. So now I have much more violent shaking, and if I want it to go crazy, let's say I wanted to exaggerate the shaking like an insane person, I could do that, Control V. And that's moving out pretty quick, so let's just kind of scroll through here. You can see I went crazy with it. Now that's stupid, I'm not going to do that. So I'm merely showing you how this works and how it can be used. Even then, I still think that is too much right here, so I can select that individual keyframe, and I can zoom in quite a bit and move it down. So it's not quite so crazy. But that's the graph editor. It comes in super handy, especially when we get into character animation. So there's the graph editor. We'll do more with it and mess around with it. But in the next episode, I want to show you how to animate the camera, because that's really fun. You become the director. You become all-powerful in your scene. You could crush the plane. You could run it into a tree. That's really morbid. But you could, because you are going to be the director. In the next episode, I'll show you how. I'll see you then.